would say first is don't go toward church planting without a clear sense of calling. That church planting is not something you try. And church planting is not just a ministry job. You know, it's difficult to find a ministry job, so maybe I'll try church planting and see if that works out for me. The risks of failure in church planting are higher than average, so it's just not something you want to do because you feel like it. So don't plant a church without a clear, confirmed sense of calling. The second thing I think of is that you shouldn't be at church planting without some basic training. We go to Bible college or seminary or seminars for various other kinds of specific training. There is a core basic training for any church planter, whatever their context, that a planter should have on his way to planting a church. You just don't show up in a community and start doing it. You have to have some understanding of the steps and seasons of church planting that have been well established at this point that you ought to know and reflect on before you even begin, before you put the shovel in the ground, so to speak. So training is a key component. The other thing I think of is don't go to church planting without a coach. Actually, I think everybody in ministry ought to have a coach, maybe a really, really good friend who walks with them through the seasons and cycles of their life in ministry. But that's especially important in church planting because church planting is a specialty and it has a higher risk factor of failure than other ministry contexts. So inviting someone along with you as a coach who will ask you tough questions, who will suggest resources, who will sort of monitor your progress and your ups and downs in life and ministry is an important component of planting a church. So get a coach. And fourthly, I think of the importance of not planting a church alone. What I mean by that is, of course, you may have a group of people with you that will grow over time. But I believe that if it's possible, a church planter ought to plant a church in community with other church planters who are doing the same thing in different places and maybe in different ways. They may be at different times in the seasons and cycles, but together as a community they can learn from one another. So I think the importance of having a learning community where you have access to the wisdom and experience, the collective wisdom and experience of those who are doing the similar ministry and taking the same kind of risks that you are.